I'm in Scotia, California. I'm about to get on this bus, and the reason I want to show Scotia is I want to show the foggy, misty, hilly, pine tree part of Humboldt County. Look at those hills up there, because pretty soon I'm going to a quite different part of the county. Although it might still be rainy, we'll find out. So right now I'm still on the bus and I'm crossing Humboldt Bay. And we're going over here. I just got off the bus in Manilla, California. And what exactly that means, I'll explain in a minute. Walk down this road a little bit. Also, obviously, there's a light drizzle today. Not unusual for this time of year in Humboldt County, right next to the ocean, but kind of unusual because last week the weather was really hot and clear. I got sunburned, and today I'm shivering in my hoodie as I walk down the road. So we are in a tsunami zone here. And this is our evacuation route, which to me doesn't seem the best evacuation route. So Manila is a small settlement, not really a town, and we're west of Arcata. So, of course, we have Humboldt Bay, and we have a long peninsula, mostly of sand, a spit of sand heading south that encloses the bay, and that's where we are right now. And that's why I said it's not a good place to be in a tsunami, because the entire area is just a really flat, sandy area with just a few hills. Basically, these are consolidated dunes. So if there is an earthquake, this is a bad place to be. And there is not a lot to Manila. It's a store and houses and stuff. And the reason I'm here, as we will see in a minute, is over this way we have a park. And we're going to cross those dunes, and then we'll have access to the open ocean, which, despite, Humboldt County being a coastal county, there's not a lot of easy access to the open ocean in a lot of places, but I'm going to cross these dunes here, and that's what we're going to see. So this is the main trail, and there's a sign there, stay on the main trails and do not walk on dune vegetation. One of the things, though, is a lot of times it's hard to tell what's a main trail, what's a trail at all. Especially if people do walk through the vegetation and erode it. You might think you're on the main trail, but the real main trail is turned into something that you thought was a side trail. Nevertheless, it's not all as rocket science, and I will probably find my way to the beach over these hills, because it leads up to this observation viewpoint, which is where I'll be heading. Incidentally, even though these dunes are not very high, which is why I would not want to have them be my only way to escape a tsunami. If you've never walked on sand before, it does take a lot out of you. So this is not just a viewpoint. Apparently this is also where people would go in case of a tsunami. And here we're about, 50 feet over sea level. And I guess this is about as safe as you're going to get from tsunamis here. And let's also take a panorama looking out to the Pacific, looking south. Then that's looking across the bay to Arcata. This is looking north. So good view from here. And I will be heading down to the ocean. And as I walk down this trail, there are changes in the ecosystem and the type of plants that grow. And these dunes are pretty big compared to some dunes. So we actually have trees growing on them. And as we get closer to the water, you probably have to have more and more salt-tolerant plants, and plants that are better able to anchor themselves in the sand. And like I said yesterday, I was at Humboldt Bay. I'm not an expert on a lot of this stuff. Like, I can notice an obvious shift, but a lot of times, like somebody who studies ecology or biology would be able to make really fine distinctions about the type of microclimate and microecosystems that we are walking through on this trail. if I still am on the trail. I certainly hope so. So I've just crested a dune, and as we can see, we have the open ocean here. And the last time I was here, which was actually in 2019, maybe it was just the day, but the ocean was a lot further out. We had a wide beach, like a couple 100 feet. And today it looks like it's going right up to the top of the dune. So I'm going to be very careful, especially along with being high. It does look to be a rough, windy day. But it is the ocean, and the ocean is always a beautiful thing to see. So along this beach, we do have some type of shorebirds. Don't know this exact type. I thought it was a plover at first, but that beak is not a plover beak as far as I know. So right now, actually, you know, this open ocean, this tidal zone, isn't really a source of a place where plants or animals can live really easily, unlike a tide pool zone. But there is a lot of stuff coming in from the ocean, generated in the bay, in other bays, deep in the ocean, far away. So look at all these little bits of shell and stuff. So that's probably what that bird and other little birds like this are looking for on the beach. So one thing that you can see, or maybe not see, is there are no people on the beach. And I've been here before, and there was a couple of people on, you know, warmer days with calmer oceans. But even at the busiest times, it's not a very busy beach. And as you can see today, I have the beach all to myself. You know, walked maybe half a mile, gonna walk half a mile back. Probably won't see anybody. So if you like solitude and misty beaches, this is a good beach. If you want a beach with bikinis and umbrellas and vendors selling beer, this is not really something you can find in many places on the West Coast. So I returned back north up the beach, and I passed the spot that I came in, and now I'm just walking a little bit further this way to see if there's anything different. I think it's pretty much the same. This beach doesn't have a lot of features. It's about like 5 or 6 miles, maybe 8 miles of just plain sandy beach. Not that I'm complaining. So I spent some time on the beach. I made some slow motion videos, and now I'm heading back. So far I've seen the beach, but there actually is a town or settlement of Manila, and I will see that in a couple minutes. So I had a nice visit to the beach. I did actually end up seeing one person cross my path so far. Maybe I see somebody else in the distance, or maybe that's a mirage. Anyway, also behind me, further north, there is a larger dune complex, and it's including some dunes that go inland and are dry dunes. The tide doesn't cover them, and they're very tall, and that's an interesting place to see, but that is going a bit out of my way. So instead I'm going to turn and go back to Manila. So right there we have a whole bunch of strawberry plants, and I made a little addition to the video, and that's just an example of how we have a variety of different plants that can grow on the beach, some in more sandy places, and the strawberry is one that really grows wherever it wants. But we're moving back inland now, so we might stop seeing a lot of those extremely hardy plants. So I got here on the bus, and the main bus line goes between Arcata and Eureka, and 5 times a day, we can see it somewhere on the schedule, Manila Community Center. 5 times a day, the bus goes through here, which makes it not really usable for most people. Like, you couldn't reliably commute. You can make medical appointments or go shopping if you're, retired, go to the library, or if you're like me and like taking buses that don't make sense, you can do that. That kind of shows, Humboldt County has very diverse communities. That's why I started this video off in Scotia. And here you have this beach community. And so a lot of times the social services and transportation and everything in the community, they kind of have to play a game of Sudoku to get everything to work. So you end up with like bus service that comes to this community, this smaller community, 5 times a day. And whether that's a good or bad arrangement, I don't know. I can make it work. I don't think it's really optimal for a lot of people, but it is better than nothing. We have a bike path here, which when I was here in 2020, 2019, I don't remember this being here yet. So this is a new improvement, it looks like, and I am not complaining. So I just crossed the highway here, and as you can notice, there are no sidewalks. So this area is kind of like a combination of these like nice little rural roads, mellow place for tourists, and then this highway that just bangs right through things and makes me... And here we have this lighthouse center. We have a mini golf course. So this is obviously a tourist area. All of Humboldt County is a tourist area. I don't think people specifically, you know, travel across the country just to visit this mini golf course, even though we have a Batmobile, a boatmobile. But a lot of people who are coming to this area for other things maybe pass by here. So this is a tourist area, although it's, you know, for a pedestrian tourist, it's kind of dicey. It's like a lot of California, a lot of Humboldt County, it's like this really weird mixture of mellow and stress. The late Dennis Johnson wrote a book about it. You should read that book. We also have railroad tracks here, and as you can tell, you know, there's these trees growing over them. These railroad tracks have not been in usage for a long time. At one point, this peninsula was more tied into an industrial economy. I don't know of what sort, but there was more of an industrial economy here. That's why there's still railroad tracks or the remnants of them. And I'm going to use this restroom and then continue on my way. This is Manilla Park, and this is just a local park. It does have access to the bay, and Humboldt Bay is a lot less attractive than the Pacific Ocean, but also it's a lot safer. There are no strong tides there. And that would be in that direction. I don't think I'm going to go over there today, though. I'm going to continue on my way. So I've left most of Manila, just going through a residential area of it. To be honest, it's quite a mix. I liked the beach, and then I go to the town. And the town, like a lot of places in California and Humboldt County, is this weird mixture of very mellow and very stressful. I already said that part. So in places, you know, I see these cars with bumper stickers, "Love is better than fear." Then a couple feet on, I can see something that says like, "You are on closed circuit camera, warning, do not enter, blah, blah, blah." And I've seen a lot of, at least a few houses that have a lot of cars and RVs parked out of them, some of which look like they fell off the back of a truck. So, you know, showing a mixture of different things, the natural, the industrial, the happy, the sad. And now, after saying all of that, which are things I've said before about other towns, I'm heading out. So I'm walking back to Arcata, which is about 4 miles from here, and I think there is a side road that's pretty pleasant to walk along, but I do have to cross like a bridge that's a little bit dicey and stuff right ahead. Yeah, it's just part of discovering our world around us. So speaking of this area being industrial or being industrial at one point, see a lot of warehouses over there, and those look like they're still active. And this is the road I'm walking out of Manila on, and it's kind of funny because, you know, you saw that's a pretty small town, and you see there's this pretty thick four-lane highway here. That's just part of the contradiction. And I've done this road before, but I remember it as being a little bit more mellow and closer to where I could reach somewhere else. Sometimes my memory of walks shifts around like that, but it does look like we're ending the peninsula. Looks like this is Humboldt Bay here, so we're going to be walking across a bridge here. So I'm crossing a bridge here over this inlet, and this inlet does actually gather some water from the north. There is heavy rainfall here, but this is more just an inlet of the bay than actually like flowing water. You can see it's pretty still right here. So after I cross this, I'll be walking towards Arcata. So this is Samoa Road. It leads to Arcata, and this, I hope, I remember this is Old Samoa Road. It's also what my map says. I was worried at first this is a private road, but no, this is a public road. And so I'm just taking this road because there will be less traffic here. Should be a somewhat more restful road to walk down. So I'm walking down this old country road. Feels a little bit more peaceful. Well, that's all is relative. So one reason I did this, you know, I could have just left this video to be, here's the beach, look at how nice the ocean is. For people who want to see that, I do have 37 minutes of waves hitting the sand in slow motion. But for a lot of people here, you know, Humboldt County, even though people are environmentally conscious, a lot of times the different communities and the different ecosystems, because most people only access them by car, it's almost like it's like a magical transformation. Get picked up by a whirlwind and you land in Oz. So the reason I'm doing this is kind of to show how that little beach community relates to the rest of the county. So I'm doing that by walking back to Arcata. Also, I just have time to kill. So, hope you're enjoying the video. There's a red wing blackbird, common bird. Some people say the most common bird. I'm not complaining that it's common. So, I've been walking on this road for a while, and I'm glad I turned down this road. It's been the calmest part of my walk so far. So I'm just gonna follow this road for another mile or two till I get to Arcata there in the distance. So apparently here there's also entrance to some type of wildlife preservation area on the bay. And I've already done my share of walking today, so I won't take a detour. That's interesting to note. It's also interesting to note, this is California, so there are federal facilities here like Humboldt Bay, but this is part of California Department of Fish and Wildlife natural preservation area. So interesting. I don't remember this being here, but apparently this is. Okay, well, we're going to continue along our way. So along this road I've seen some abandoned buildings. One thing is, like I've said in other places, this area was settled before people really understood what seismics were, how they worked. So there's a strong possibility that like this was once a more settled area, and as people realized the risks of tsunamis and stuff, that changed. It's also interesting to note that like where I am right now, well, maybe not on this road because it's a little berm, but this area might be like 18 inches over the high tide line. So even in very mild cases of climate change and sea level rise, you know, sea level rises by 4 or 5 inches, and this is going to be under salt water a couple times a year. Those exact numbers are kind of made up, but this is a very low-lying area, and it is a hazard of, you know, even normal high tides, and then especially in the case of a seismic event or something. Well, you can draw your own conclusions. Now it started raining again, and I don't really care. I literally don't care. So you can see those lights in the distance. That's when I'm really back in Arcata. And yeah, like look at this, is a 4-lane split highway. Pretty big. I don't know where all these people are going. There's a few businesses and facilities out on the peninsula, but it is kind of surprising to me that there's such a massive highway for a place where like only a couple hundred people live. So we're almost into Arcata. In fact, we might be in Arcata city limits. And right out on the edge of town, we have this lumber yard. And one of the things I've talked about is I like to show both sides of a town, all sides of an area. So, you know, traditionally and stereotypically, you know, Arcata, small environmental college town. But, you know, this area was founded by Europeans on natural resource extraction, and that is still part of things. Now, how do those two things fit together? Well, that's an entire essay. I don't know, but I can show you that, yeah, in Arcata, there is still a lumber industry. And that also, you know, I was talking about this being a road out to an industrial area. This is all part of it. Anyway, that being said, I am about to return to the tourist part of Arcata. So that was a long story. I covered a lot of stuff. If I say anything now, I might be repeating myself. But I have to come to some type of conclusion, some type of denouement of this journey. And so the correct conclusion to any journey is pizza.